Okay, so here are our two ears. They've got our little snotch in them, so now we have directional ears. We have to make sure that we put them in the right way or we will put them in backwards. So they'll look funny or backwards when we get them in. Okay, so here is our notch that we use for the placement of our ears. I always just like to place them, put the notch on the top so that the notch, so you're always starting with the direction that, so you're always measuring from the same distance, so it doesn't really ever matter if it makes it how far down, but if you start at the top and measure from the top of where the ear is going to be, they should be equal on each side. So because I put the ear placement notches indicators on the head back piece, we need to make sure that our fold in our ear is facing up. So when it folds out, it will be in the front. So we're gonna place that right there, place the top of the ear right there where the notch is. And you can kind of play with it depending on how many times you sew the pattern and decide where you like it. This is definitely an optional thing if you like the ear more down to the side of the face versus up high, sticking straight up next to the horns, or if you like it straight out or tipping up. Those are all definitely things that as the maker of your giraffe that you can play with, and it doesn't matter, and it doesn't affect the pattern in any way. So I like mine coming out of the face a little bit straighter, so it needs to be at an angle in here, but so mark it at the top, put it at the top, and then slide it in there, and then we're going to pin it into place. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. One thing about basting your ears is that if you make sure, and when you baste your ears, you keep it inside the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, you're not going to have to unstitch that seam when you've attached it into the head, because you won't see the seam. So if you keep it on the inside, just get it right along the edge of that fabric, then you don't have to try and unstitch it later, which is always nice. So get your ears in there, get them lined up so they kind of look like they are going to pop out in the same place, and we can then begin to line up our face. So the ears go inside the head and the horns go outside the head. So what we're going to do is, I always like to start at the top seam, because that is where it's going to be the most obvious if your face is not quite lined up straight. So start pinning. You're going to start at the top seam and add a pin there, and then we're actually going to go around the horns. Pull those horns up and right sides together, and you're going to go all the way around the horns and down. Then we're going to go all the way back down up to here, and we're going to stop pinning here because that's where we're going to stop stitching. And we're going to do that the same thing on this side. We're going to pin all the way up and around the ears and then down to right here. So pin that, and then we will sew it.